Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Sports Affiliation Betting Collaboration. It is Evan and Iggy joining you for episode 7. We're looking at bringing you some of our favorite bets that we have found today. Full slate of games, no bye weeks yet. So we're going to hop right into it. Evan, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Ready for week 3 of football. Got some bets ready to go. Got some fantasy lineups in my head that I don't know what to do with, like most of us with a million teams and all the injuries. So I don't know. They're set. I'll probably just set them and forget them because I'll be overthinking it all day. But I'm ready, man. How are you?
Good, man. A lot of football today. Yeah, I still got to go look at my lineups, but looking forward to it. Looking to see who's going to be in and out. But yeah, dude, always looking forward to making money. College football sucks. I'm never betting on it again. and But it's all good. I know a lot of people have money on college football, but I'm all about the NFL. That's where I make most of my money. So what do you got today? What's your leadoff bet for everybody today?
Man, I will say that I was tempted all day. I could not stay away from that Colorado plus 21 yesterday, but I ended up not placing it. So I'm glad that I didn't. I was like, it's so high. But yeah, I mean, we'll see, what goes on with that. But on to the NFL, man. All right, I'm going to go to I got a couple tight end props for us. I'm going to start with Kyle Pitts. I know Kyle Pitts has been quite disappointing in plenty of aspects. He gets the Lions today, okay? Ritter looked a little better passing the ball last week. The Lions have given up a lot of points to fantasy tight ends. The Lions set at 33.5 yards. Will Dissly, Noah Fant, Parkinson, all three hit over that number last week. We saw what Graham Bell did week 1. I mean, Kyle Pitts is just too good, too talented. They lost Gardner Johnson, right, for the season. They don't have that safety there. I think the hole's open up for Pitts. 33.5 is not a lot. I like him at over 33.5 yards. So we got a unit at that minus 125.
All right. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, he's got to do something at some point, huh? It's I've never really been on Desmond Ritter as a lot of other people have. I mean, he's not been in the NFL that long, so let's cut him a little slack, give him a little break. But yeah, dude, it's I'm gonna stick with that game as well. It is for me. I found a boost on a bet. Woke up, found the game day boost, so I'm gonna take it. It is on DraftKings, and it's Bijan Robinson. Man, they boosted his anytime touchdown score to plus 175. I just don't see how he doesn't get in the end zone if they get close to the goal line against that pretty porous defense over there with the Lions, man. So I think that's a safe bet. I went ahead and put a full unit on it, and like I said, boosted to 175. So we'll get 1.75 of a unit back on that if we do hit. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I think that's a realistic possibility. I thought the Lions were unnecessarily overhyped this offseason. I get it with Dan Campbell and an opening day game and all that stuff, but the Lions still have an awful defense. They lost Houston. They don't have answers in the secondary. So now without Houston, it becomes really easy to start double teaming Hutchinson. I think their defense is in trouble. I've always thought their defense is going to be in trouble, and I expect Bijan Robinson to score a touchdown today.
And that's an anytime TD. We've seen what Bijan can do in the passing game as well and how electric he is. So, I mean, you open up the possibilities for getting the ball out of the backfield, passing and running. I mean, that's plus 175. That's tough to avoid right there.
Yep, it is, man.
I'll stay on a anytime TD as well. I got a few of those this week. It's hard when you like a lot of those. Not everybody can score, but, plus money is always nice. I'm looking at Zay Flowers. He's plus 165. He's been heavily involved in the offense. The Colts have been absolutely horrendous. We saw what Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Zay Jones, Kirk, Ridley. I mean, everybody has just dominated them so far this season. I expect Zay Flowers to do more of the same. He's yet to see the end zone. It's plus 165. I think they'll feed him the ball. I see him getting in the end zone for his first NFL touchdown in week 3. I got a unit on that, plus 165.
Man, I love it. Zay Flowers. Yeah, the Colts don't have Anthony Richardson. I don't know if that's a plus or a minus for them really off the top of my head. But the Ravens quietly getting business done per usual. They just kind of go about doing that. No big deal for them. And, yeah, dude, Lamar Jackson's looking every bit of every penny he was paid. So I don't see what could be going wrong with that at all. Yeah, looking at my second bet today, man. Just putting together. I got a money line. It's another one I got boosted, but I got it at plus money earlier in the week too. So the bookies are kind of on the fence on this. I think they're like, as a bettor, here's like our betting advice for the day. The bookies essentially just want to keep their money. They just want to rake right around the middle. If they can keep, 3% at a little higher odds than the other, like, on an over under or a money line, they're going to be pretty happy raking in that 3 or 4%. Now, don't get me wrong, when there's like 83% of us on a bet and that bet doesn't hit, well, they're pretty happy about that too. But ultimately, their goal is to try to just get that rake, make sure they're making profit on every game as much as possible. It's $1 billion business for a reason. So with that in mind, they did move the Green Bay line to the negatives. My feeling on that is there's probably more bettors that are Packers fans or people that aren't profitable bettors, probably like Evan and I, maybe betting, and they forced that line to move. I don't think the bookies necessarily wanted to move it because they didn't really move it too far past evens, and the line's only at -1.5. Maybe the Marcus May news put a little tilt on that. Maybe Aaron Jones news put a little tilt on that. But I do expect Green Bay to win their home opening game at Lambeau Field, Week 3, first home game. Jordan Love's first game at Lambeau. You can just tell how much those people on offense are kind of going out for Jordan Love. And Watson may be back as well. Like I said, Marcus May out for the Saints. The Saints have a very old and aging secondary. So I just expect Green Bay to go in there, get the job done. The Saints, I don't know what their record is anymore. I used to know this about 7 or 8 years ago. But their record on outside grass games throughout the history of that organization is pretty awful. I think it's almost 2-1 still. But or 1-2, I should say. They've won for every one game they win. They lose 2 on the road. Now, I hate comparing teams to the past, but I'm just taking this as a bet, putting 1 unit on it and getting 2.3 units back. So 1.3 unit gain on this money line Green Bay bet. We don't worry about a spread. We just need a win, okay? Doesn't matter if it's a last-second field goal or a blowout by 30. A win's a win, and we're taking the Green Bay Packers on the money line today for one of my straight bets.
I like it. Hopefully a little confirmation. I looked at my teaser plays this week, and the Saints were an option, but that same factor of them playing outside on the road as opposed to the way they play at home or even just indoors somewhere, it just kept me away from even teasing it up. I just didn't really want anything to do with it, so I like it. They also are coming off a short week, right? Where they didn't look great offensively either, to be honest, neither of the first 2 weeks. So expect Green Bay to play a little better defense. Do want to give a shout out real quick to our 2 sponsors, Better Vision. Remember, Better Vision, download the app. You've heard us talk about it. You can get all your different fantasy leagues, some Sleeper, ESPN, your different betting sites, put it all in one spot, basically one book for yourself to be able to look at right there at the bottom. Instead of having to go and search, right, and pull up a tab and do this, you got it all in one place. So download Better Vision and Fantasy Football Advice Network. Some great guys over there, always putting out fantasy content, start and sit questions throughout the week. Very informative, fun discussion, great group. So both those right there. Just remember to get involved. We appreciate you guys, man. With that, I'm going to stay on that same Raven Colts game. I can't stay away from Michael Pittman. Over 5.5 receptions at plus 110. I think it's moved to plus 100. It was plus 110 yesterday. He's had 8 catches in both of the first 2 games. He's had 23 targets. The Colts' second leading receiver last week was Will Mallory, a rookie tight end. I mean, Moss runs the ball. Who else is going to catch passes? If the Colts stay in this game, it's going to be a lot of Pittman. If the Colts are behind in this game, it's going to be a lot of Pittman. So you're asking to get 6 catches, 2 below what he's done so far. I know he's not going to get 8 every single week, but this is a plus money spot. I think that's a real nice buy, 2 catches below what he's done. Minshew threw him, 9 targets, I think, when he came in last week. All reliable. Minshew's good enough to get it done. Either way, they hang around or they got to throw to catch up. I think the Ravens put up plenty of points against this Colts defense. I like Michael Pittman today. Over 5.5, plus 110. Got to put a unit there as well, Iggy.
Yeah, I just put it up as our bet of the day. Somebody asked me, it was like between Pittman and a few other people. And I was just like, just go with Pittman, dude. The volume. That's all that we care about. And that was from a fantasy perspective. We're going to go ahead and translate that over to a betting perspective. If he gets 15 targets and Gardner Minshew throws 4 absolute awful balls, that means we still got over double the amount we need to get that 5.5 receptions. So I love that bet. I think a negative game script plays probably into our favor here. But as I mentioned, I'm not sure that they're going to have a negative game script. And as you mentioned, it doesn't matter if they're winning or if they're behind. Pittman's going to have to be involved. There's only, I think, 4 wide receivers on that roster. So, yeah, let's go with Minshew to actually throw the ball, get it to Pittman. I love that, dude. Okay, man, let's see what we got coming up next for us. I think I have I got a couple tackle prop bets. So my favorite one, actually, I found it about 10 minutes before the show looking at the lines. And it's for tonight. I'm going to make this the jailhouse bet of the day. It is Nate Hobbs of the Las Vegas Raiders over 6.5 tackles plus assists. He's gotten 7 and 10 in the 2 games prior to this. He was the leading tackler for the Raiders in game 1. Yeah, he plays the nickel, so he might be on like Austin or somebody, or Robinson, which Robinson I think had 3 catches for the Steelers last week. So he's got opportunity there. But man, this guy comes up and plays the running game now. Okay, that's what Hobbs is. He's one of the few cornerbacks that come up and make tackles. You don't see too much of that in today's NFL. And Hobbs, like, not only does he make the tackles, I think it's a point of emphasis or a point of pride for him to come up and make those tackles. This too is at plus money. It's at plus 110 right now. I know I think what's happening with this line is people are looking at the Steelers offense and being like, man, that's an awful, awful offense. They won their game last week because of 2 defensive touchdowns. So Cleveland really kept them. I think they only scored 1 offensive touchdown, George Pickens, if I remember correctly, on that deep bomb. And then San Francisco, I don't think they did anything meaningful to the 3.5 quarter. But let's take a deeper look at that game. San Francisco's, I think you could, there's not even make a case. As of right now, they are the number 1 team in the NFL. There's no ties with them. There's no legitimate things with them. Now, that could change to Sunday. But as of right now, they're the number 1 team in the NFL. And their defense looks every bit of that part. Rolling the Steelers, tromping on the Giants, Thursday. So I think that's the narrative people are trying to put. The Steelers just aren't good. The Steelers just don't have an offense. Kenny Pickett didn't develop as we thought he would. Now, I just don't believe that, man. I think they played 2 great defenses. Look, the Browns held the Bengals to what, 17 points? 13 points? I can't remember. It was in the teens, I'm pretty sure. And then they turn around and hold the Steelers to 1 offensive touchdown. I think the Browns might have quietly a better defense than people anticipate. And with that narrative, I'm looking for Najee Harris to have a bigger game. I'm looking for Kenny Pickett to have a bigger game because the Raiders do not have the defense that the Browns and the 49ers have. So we're going to put 1 unit on this. It is my jailhouse bet of the day. So if you wanted to put 2 units on it, go for it. But we'll get that out later. I do like Nate Hobbs over 6.5 tackles plus assists. Both of them. Don't fall for one or the other. All right.
Nate Hobbs. You also added Nate Hobbs a couple weeks ago in one of our fantasy leagues, I do recall. So nice pickup on that. Yeah, I think that when we look back on this year, people are going to see that Cleveland had a really good defense. That's just like you said. That is a fact, and we know what the Niners are. With Pittsburgh, though, I'm going to stay in that same spot, man. I like Freiermuth. He's had 2 catches for 5 yards in the first 2 games, and that makes it scary. But you know what that does? It also drops his line a little bit. So he's at 31.5 receiving yards today. And listen, last year's stats, they don't mean anything, but they still mean something, okay? He had 8 targets against the Raiders last year, 7 catches. He demolished them. The Raiders are not good against tight ends. We saw the Bills carve them up. We saw the Broncos. Troutman had 5 catches. Dulcich had 2. The Bills added another 7 or 8 last week. Freiermuth's the guy there. Still no Deontay. I think Pickett's going to look to him today. I think, like you said, with Najee, the run game opens up a little against this Las Vegas defense that is not as good as these 2 defenses they have played, right? Even if the Raiders play a good game of defense, they are not the Browns or the Niners. So Freiermuth over 31.5. I believe it was minus 125. I like the Steelers in this game. I know that they're road dogs. I do like taking them to win the game straight up. I didn't take it in this bet. I wanted to play it a little safer. I did tease it up. I just took the Steelers with Freiermuth at plus 9.5. I teased it up 6. It's plus 145 with that.
Man.
I figured those two together, tease up that Freiermuth. It's just a much better play. It's going to be a close, low-scoring game, I'm sure. I do like Pittsburgh to win if you like that bet. My little guy running around here. But yeah, man, Freiermuth, I think, like I said, today's the day that the Muth and Pitts, do a little work. So
you got it over 33.5, correct?
Over 31.5.
Over 31.5. That's nice, man. I like that as well. I think this will be a low-scoring game. What's up, buddy? I think it'll be a low-scoring game. We'll see, though. I don't see – Pittsburgh still has a pretty good defense, so I don't see the Raiders being able to get away from them in any way, shape, or form. They don't have the offensive firepower to do that. So I love that bet as well, Evan. Good call, man. Okay, looking right here, I guess I'll go ahead and bring this one right now. It's another tackle parlay. I got this earlier in the week. I had a free bet from a lost bet on the week before, so I just placed it on this bet. I looked for it early. Frankie Louvu's line was at positive money. His line hasn't moved. It's still at 6.5. Frankie Louvu plays for the Carolina Panthers. He was my bold call as a top 5 linebacker this year. Had 2 sacks last week and 9 tackles, so he covered the prop for me last week too. Seattle, man, I mean, Kenneth Walker. You talked about Noah Fant. Tyler Lockett dragging across the middle. JSN might finally do something. I just think there's no way he doesn't get 6.5 tackles. That line is moved to negative 125. And when I was looking, I went and looked at the other. I played to get this to positive money, and I found Rasul Douglas at over 3.5 tackles plus assists. He's gone over it quite a bit. People stay away from Jair Alexander. Surprise, surprise. So what that forces people to do is to throw to Rasul Douglas quite often. And he's actually had a pretty good coverage. PFF has him ranked pretty high this year. But at 3.5 tackles plus assists, I mean, if he gets targeted, if somebody completes 3 passes against him, that's probably 3 tackles right there. And then coming up and playing in the run game like he does, playing in the play action game, that line was at like negative 170, I think. So I added it to Louvu. And with that free bet, I'm returning half a unit on it. So it was a low. I think I got $10 free bet on that just to give y'all an example of that. But it's still returning half a unit just simply because of the odds of putting 2 tackle props together because – I'll tell you a secret. I've been betting on tackle props. I think since the first week they've been offered. Probably one of the longest tackle propping bettors in the world, honestly. And what I've noticed is tackle plus assist lines are very, very rarely above negative 170. Like you never see a negative 200 tackle plus assist prop. I think probably because the bookies aren't making any money on it if it gets that low. So that's why I love combining them because you're almost guaranteed positive odds and usually pretty dadgum good positive odds simply by putting a 2-leg parlay together. Now, I don't try to go crazy with my parlays. I like to try to keep them at 2 legs when possible. But it's a pro tip going forward. If you start getting on these tackle props with me, you can turn 2 legs into some very profitable money. So once again, Frankie Louvu over 6.5 and Rasul Douglas. Frankie Louvu plays for Carolina. Rasul Douglas plays for Green Bay. So you combine those two, and it should be pretty daggum good money still, even with his line moving.
Nice. I like it. I had my eyes on Kenneth Walker's rushing prop. I mean, I expect Seattle, Pete Carroll, man, they're going to try to ground and pound. They're going to open it up with that passing game. Should be plenty of opportunity there for him to hit that. And I mean, anytime you get 3.5 at that number for Douglas, I mean, like you said, that's hard to stay away from. So, and a free bet. So why not put it on something that looks like it can happen,
Oh, yeah.
I got a teaser as well. I didn't mention this one last week. I did the first week. I've had some success the first couple weeks this year with teasers. And I'll share kind of what I like to do there. It's a good little tip. I like to take, first off, only road teams. I don't take the home teams. And I take road dogs that are somewhere around plus 1.5 to plus 3.5. And I tease them up 6 points. And I take road favorites that are anywhere from about 6.5 to 8.5 and tease those down the other way. So you're getting past that field goal mark up to a touchdown for the road dogs. You're getting down under that field goal. So, for example, this week, the Bills are minus 6.5 against the Commanders. I took them down 6, teased it down, so it's minus just a half a point, right? Win the game, basically. Take the Bills to win. And on the other side, I took the Chargers, who are road dogs by a point. I think it was a 1.5 when I got it, or I think it's a point now. And now it's 7 or 7.5, so a touchdown, right? So looking at the Bills to win the game straight up and looking at a Charger team that, as we've talked about the first 2 weeks, and I'm not recommending the Chargers for a third week in a row other than the teaser. I'm staying away from that. They burned me 2 weeks in a row. Maybe they'll win a game as a Charger fan if I don't bet on them. And, yeah, teasing those two together. I mean, the Chargers playing field goal games 24/7. I mean, the odds is it's probably going to be 48-45 Minnesota in this barn burner today with, lots of points. So it's about – hi, Bella. Thanks for joining us. It's about – I think it's minus 110 together. So most of what I tease – you can always tease it, less points. I'm out in Cali. I don't have as many options. The place I use for that, it's a 6 or 7 point teaser, so I do the 6 point option. But I've been having success, and that's kind of the little tricks I like to do there. The road dogs favored right around, or road dogs under that field goal mark, and heavy road favorites seem to have a lot of success in the teaser market.
Yeah, I love teasing too. It's kind of, we just mentioned it earlier. These bookies are really smart. They really know football really, really well, actually. I think the bookies know football, or NFL, I should say, better than they do other sports. It's a little more predictable. The analyst is there, and the models they've created and used for over a decade are very, very accurate, okay? So I like tease betting as well, like Evan talked about. All right, I think I got one more bet for us today, and it's just the pizza parlay. We mentioned it Thursday on the watch party, but bringing it to you here, and surprise, surprise, we've talked about a few of these teams, Evan, and it's not big odds. So what I like to do on anything more than a 2-leg parlay is just give me the teams that I think will win. I'm not trying to win a bunch of money. The pizza parlay is really just for fun as it is. It's just for us to kind of talk about 3 teams we think will win and putting it together and seeing who hits. So I, once again, had a free bet on this, and it's only returning a quarter unit for me on this free bet. But the odds, I think, were plus 138 or 183. I can't remember off the top of my head. What we have is just a straight money line, and I took home teams against rookie quarterbacks. Well, when I made this bet, I thought Anthony Richard would be back in, but Gardner Minshew's in. So I took Baltimore against the Colts. I took Seattle against Carolina. Surprise, surprise, Andy Dalton's in that game. And then I took Jacksonville against the Houston Texans at home, division game. So division games can be a little tricky sometimes. Those opponents know each other very well, regardless of how long the coaches have been there. Okay, but I took those 3 teams, home teams, against backup quarterbacks or rookie quarterbacks. And like I said, it only returns half a unit or a quarter of a unit, so not much, but it was a free bet. I had to use it, and I took it on this pizza parlay. 3 legs, anything can happen. When you start asking for 3 or more things to go your way, you're asking for a lot. Okay, that's just the reality of betting. But I do trust these teams against backup quarterbacks or against a rookie quarterback. And, yeah, a lot of these, Carolina is traveling all the way to Seattle, too. The statistics on cross-country games always favors the home team. I think it's like 70% of the time or 73% of the time the home team wins those games. So keep that in mind as well. And like I said, not a big return on this free bet, but if you're feeling comfortable, go ahead and put a unit on it.
Nice. Love it. Another reason I stayed away from the Chargers, traveling once again to Minnesota early in the morning. It's just that travel is real, man. Travel is real. So I love it. I think Houston might be able to put up some points, man, and make that game a little bit more of a shootout. Stroud's been throwing the rock. I don't know if the Jags defense is as good as people think. I know you're big on the Jags. I'm interested to see. I'm not saying the Texans win that game, but I think it might be a little more entertaining offensively than some of the Texan-Jags games we've been accustomed to the last few years that have been a little lower and ugly. And that bodes well for Trevor Lawrence, who hasn't had big games against them. So any Trevor Lawrence fans or owners, I'm sure will be excited for that. So I'll go one more, man. I'm going to do an anytime TD. I've got probably way too many bets out there today, but I love me some Jake Ferguson, man. Tight end of the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to go one last tight end, but it's an anytime touchdown. He's plus 285, okay? Cardinals have allowed 10 trips to the red zone through 2 weeks. They're awful against tight ends. You hear me say that probably every week. It's just been that way for a couple years. It still is now. Ferguson is a tight end. Ferguson has 7 red zone targets already on the season. I don't care if he gets 1 catch or 100 catches. He's just got to hit that pay dirt 1 time today. The Cardinals haven't given up a touchdown to a tight end, yet they've given up a lot of yards, a lot of fantasy points, a lot of red zone trips. So give me all that together with Dak and one of his favorite targets. Plus 285 for Ferguson at an anytime TD. Just can't stay away from that plus money right there like that. Just great odds for a guy who's got all that, pointing to a very good shot at getting in the end zone today.
Yeah, and Buda Baker's on injured reserve. That's kind of the heartbeat of that defense. Also plays safety, usually covers tight ends and passing things. So there's going to be a backup covering Jake Ferguson. And Dak Prescott said at the beginning of the year, I started snagging Ferguson a lot in best balls. I'll probably have at least a dozen shares of him, probably closer to 2 dozen. Because I just had faith in him, and as somebody that takes tight ends late, he was always available. He was just always there. And like you said, I watched that Dallas game. Yeah, he got targeted in the red zone again on top of that touchdown he had. Dak Prescott said, I think Ferguson's going to make a big splash in the NFL this year. So, yeah, I love that bet as well. Dallas should steamroll them, so they should have plenty of opportunities. I think Mike McCarthy's out there to prove to everybody that he is – one of the greatest offensive minds that have ever coached this game. People forget all the quarterbacks he's had. I mean, Steve Young. I think he might have coached Joe Montana one year. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott. He really doesn't have a Hall of Famer he hasn't coached. So put that in perspective to who Mike McCarthy is. I don't think that was his offensive play calling last year. And you can just see the difference this year with the Dallas Cowboys. There is a new life to them. There's something about them that's very special this year. And I think even with Diggs going down, I think this team is still great defensively, so there should be a lot of offensive opportunities for the Cowboys in this game. Yeah, man, I think that wraps it up. So we got a lot of bets. We're working on the chart. We're going to go get our week 2, week 1 bets. I didn't get them calculated, but we were plus 265 headed into week 2, and Evan had a really good week last week. So I imagine I had an awful week, but I'm still imagining that we're plus money still. So we're going to get that updated for you. We also have our, if you want to listen to some betting briefs, go check us out on Spotify. The Sports Affiliation. This is the logo. Says it in the title. Pretty easy to find if you look at Spotify. As of right now, it's Evan and I putting up just brief bets. We look at something, we like it. We'll give you about a 2-minute explanation of why we like that bet, and it's over on Spotify. So if you don't have time, if you're looking at other bets, Evan bets on college, bets on baseball. We both do. So let's just keep in mind there's going to be the pennant season coming around. So we're going to have a lot of little briefs up there for you to go check out. Also, go check out the Sports Affiliation website. Getting articles up there almost daily at this point. We have been daily, actually. So go check that out and make sure you subscribe to that as well. Of course, you're watching on YouTube. Please just subscribe and like this video. We need that as well. Then we're on Twitter at The Sports Affiliate. On X at The Sports Affiliate. You can find us over there as well. Don't forget that Pittman bet right down there at the bottom. I think that's really good. I'm about to go lay that myself. And once again, download Better Vision, guys. Look, you're going to be able to see all your bets right then and there. It calculates how much money you win per day right there. We're loose, but we're hoping to win. As always, trying to keep it a profitable betting mindset. Okay, that's who we are. All right, that's what we are. That's what our goal is. And we're keep working towards our goal of doubling our bankroll, withdrawing, and playing on house money. Evan, anything you'd like to say to close out the show, sir?
No, I think you pretty much covered it there. I will just, for fun, tack on the baseball there. I did mention before the season started 3 Cy Young favorites of mine. One of those was Blake Snell at plus 3,500. Blake Snell in the driver's seat to win the National League Cy Young with plus 3,500 to start the year. So I'm watching that very closely. Had Zach Gallen in there as well. He was in the race for a while, so feel good about that call, but he kind of fell out. My third one was Julio Urias. We don't need to talk about him. He's got a lot more troubles than baseball. But yeah, man, we do it all. We love to bet. We love to talk sports. And definitely go check out the Spotify. I mean, Iggy and myself were 4 for 4 on the last 2 Thursday night games. We look to build on that each week. Mention the sponsors down there. Definitely check them out. Check out Fantasy Football Advice as well. They got shows on YouTube. Not daily, but multiple times throughout the week. So pay attention to those. Follow them on X as well. Get those notifications on. And, as Iggy says, bet smart, be lucky, and let's have an amazing week 3, and let's build that bankroll. Appreciate you guys joining us.
Yeah, guys, as always, remember, bet smart, be lucky. Don't blow all your bankroll on one weekend because you got some kind of feeling or, I know I get the happy energy. I guess anxiousness is what it is. And then I just get on there and I'm like, bah, 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 bah. I've already laid my bets for the week, but then I just go in there and do that. Avoid that. Okay, you don't want to do that. Get those lineups set for fantasy. We got an hour and a half till kickoff. Get these bets in. All right. Bet smart, be lucky. Of course, hit us up if you have any questions at SoCal Ball Nerd and at IDP_Iggy on the X. All right, guys, take care. We love you guys. Thank you for spending your time with us. Let's go get those bookies. We'll see you next week. And we're out.